Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Podcast Room 303. Introducing one co-host with more nuggets than Chick-fil-A, Nick Morahan. Executive producer until we find someone better, Eric Washington. Nobody really knows what he does around here, Nevada Putnam. And now, the single greatest thing to happen to hosting in history, Jermaine Antonio Colon Mendez. On with the show.
Holy shit. I know, you're probably thinking right now, that doesn't sound like Jermaine or Nick. And you'd be right. That's right, roomies. Mom and Dad went out for a pack of smokes and a carton of milk and left the EPs in charge. The monkeys are running the asylum. The inmates are loose in the zoo. Welcome to Podcast Room 303. Eric, how are you doing today?
Unburdened. Without the pressure of having Nick and Jermaine here, it feels great. So hopefully we bring a good episode to everybody and a good week. And we'll see if Mom and Dad do come home, back home with that milk and cigarettes. We'll see.
I've heard that story before. I'm still waiting for some people to come back, so we will find out. If you have not figured it out yet, yes, Nick and Jermaine, MIA, out on the street corner looking for cocaine and hookers or smokes and milk. I'm not really sure. Long story short, you got myself, Nevada Putnam, and EPE to guide you through this episode of Podcast Room 303. Being as such, we got some time spare. We can let our wings spread out. We don't have to hear them bloviate for 90 minutes. So we're going to touch on a little bit of NHL and NBA as well. And as always, the NFL review and preview. Eric, I believe we got head-to-head. Does that sound about right?
Yes, sir. I will get that added in here. We'll cover the head-to-head. No surprise. Nick went 0-3, but unfortunately, the entire podcast went winless last week in week 46. So Jermaine 0-3, 30, 108 on the season, down 12.6 units. Nick 16, 121-1, down 61.42 units. Nevada 41-97, down 9.31 units. I am 34-104, and I have joined my brothers in the negative at minus 0.68 units. So not a good week for the head-to-head. Nick is staying on par. That puts him at 0-6 since we made that bet for the final 8 weeks. Again, Jermaine has him going 3-21 in the final 8 weeks. Nevada has him going 4-20, and I had him going 1-23. We're all still in the running, as he is 0-6 since we put that bet in. So,
yeah, and mine's looking a little dire. 4 wins, and he's got 5 weeks left.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's 5 or 6. Yeah, but yeah, homeboy's in trouble, man.
Big fella better start picking some winners.
Yeah, you guys are in a tight one, and my cushion's gone, so I might go back to minus 140 bets just to keep adding to the positive side.
Oh. Man.
We'll see how it goes. And then last week, I know that Nick brought it up. I'm not sure if any of the roomies listened or watched this, but we had the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul boxing event on Netflix, an 8-round, 2-minute round
card.
What is it? Yeah, card, I guess you could say. And I'm letting Nevada give his take on this. I was playing Call of Duty. I had it on the background. All I got to say is Mike is 60 years old.
Yeah. So I think I probably had the best viewing of it because I fell asleep. I have heard it was bad, and that's being kind.
Yeah.
I think we said it on the last pod. Was this going to be a staged fight? From what I've seen of the quote-unquote highlights, I don't know how it wasn't staged.
It had to be. I mean, you could see, I saw Tyson get hit in the face and it like registers with him. Oh shit, this is how it feels to get hit in the face all over again. Like it's a 20, 30-year-old man sport, right? You're 60, brother. And you're one of the greatest of all time, but it's embarrassing to see you go out like this. And Netflix tried their best. They brought in countless celebrities and just anybody they could get to talk about it, to put eyes on it. And I don't even know the viewership numbers. I'll have to look into that, but it was not an entertaining event.
No, the only thing I learned out of that match was that there's a Rocket smoke show ring girl who just gained, I don't know, 500,000 followers on Instagram. University of, was it Alabama, Auburn, something like that?
Something in the SEC, yeah.
Yeah, SEC's. She was the talent. She was the show of the match.
Well, and my argument would be for Mike Tyson's ass cheeks, but either way.
True. Whatever floats your boat. We're not here to judge.
Yeah.
It didn't sound good. We'll get into it when we talk about NFL season or week review. It'll kind of be adjacent to this boxing match, but yeah, not well received. That being said, I know Jake Paul called out Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
In a tweet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who Jake Paul decides to fight. I just want it to be like a true fight, just to see that SOB just get pummeled.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. He's going after another guy who isn't a boxer. You are claiming to be a boxer.
Right.
You want to make your name in the boxing game. Stop fighting retired athletes. Stop fighting UFC fighters who are limited in what they can do because they can't kick you or take you down.
Yeah.
No. The one guy that you fought that's remotely close to being a boxer and Tommy Fury whooped your ass. You took a big fat L. So it's like, come on, man. I get the gimmick. I support the entrepreneurial mindset of like, look, I'm going to make as much money as I can being a clown and a troll. But it's enough, dude. Like, go fight boxers or do something else. Go back to making YouTube videos.
Yeah. I mean, if he doesn't get, I wouldn't be excited for McGregor or Pacquiao or Mayweather. I think De La Hoya got dropped in the group chat. Like, what are you gonna do, George Foreman?
At this point, he's gonna fight Ali, dude. They're gonna dig up Ali and have him fight Ali. It's ridiculous. Like, and even if it was Pacquiao or Mayweather, they're old. They're not washed. They're great boxers. I'm sure they would dominate him just because they know the game, the sport, and that they're champions. Yeah. But I don't want to see that either. Like, I don't want to see a 50-year-old or a 40-year-old fight. Or no, Mayweather's close to 50, right?
It's got to be at least 50 for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Real quick.
Why do we want to see him fight another old ass person? But it is what it is, man. And like Nevada said earlier in the episode, with just the two of us, we're gonna opt out of doing the PCP and the blind five. We're gonna do I guess you could say quarter check-in for the NHL and NBA. Nevada will handle the NHL and I'll handle the NBA because I don't know jack diddly squat about the NHL, but love watching some games.
Yeah, and same goes for NBA. I wouldn't know enough to talk for a couple minutes. I know enough to get in trouble, but that'd be about it.
Yeah, I know enough to lose money on bets. That's about it.
if you've seen my fantasy basketball team, what's the word? Oh yeah, doo-doo.
Dude,
I got to win against Jermaine, so
that's
I'm good.
True. And you're hampered by injuries, because you have two players that are playing for the same team that are injured. So it's it's a disadvantage. Yeah. But, yeah. Oh man.
Before we dive into sports, I know we'll get to it here with our sister pod, Revenge of the Pod, for our year-end review.
Yep.
If you don't listen or subscribe to them, check them out. They got some good shit. But do you have any recommendations, either shows or movies that you're currently watching or just finished, that you would highly recommend before the year is out?
Yeah. So for our couples and our people who are fans of rom-coms, actually a recommendation from our sister pod, one of the hosts of our sister pod, Jason, he recommended this. Nobody Wants This on Netflix. It's a rom-com. 10 episodes. It's got Kristen Bell. It's got Adam Brody. And it's honestly one of the best. Like, I like rom-coms. I'm mad enough to sit here and admit I will go to a movie theater to watch rom-coms. I love them. And this is one of the best ones I've seen. Well written, absolutely hilarious. There's a character in the show named Sasha. I highly recommend watching that. And I just went and watched it. Beef. Have you seen Beef yet on Netflix?
Yeah, the one from last year.
Was that last year?
Yeah, because it was on my list for last year.
Dang, dude, it took me so long to come around, but I just watched that, which I'm gonna throw it on my list because I don't care. It was a great show.
The basically Road Rage series.
Yeah, essentially, yeah, pretty much a road rage, and but great writing, man, great storytelling in that.
It was really good. I was impressed. When I saw the previews and stuff like that, I was like, man, they're gonna do. Was it 10 episodes, 10 episodes, whatever. Based on like road rage, like, is this going to be like a murder thing? And
yeah,
spoiler alert, it's not, but it's still pretty wild. But yeah, it's a good show. Would recommend it if you haven't seen it. I'll throw one out that I got 1 or 2 more episodes left.
Mm-hmm.
Day of the Jackal.
Day of the Jackal. What is that
on Peacock?
Peacock. Oh, okay.
It's a 6-episode series.
Wait, hold on. Is that the one with the homie where he's like a killer?
Yeah,
or assassin or something.
Well, there's a few shows, but yeah, that is the main premise. It's got the biggest action star in all of Hollywood, Eddie Redmayne. I know Jermaine's all about Eddie Redmayne, right, Jermaine? I mean, shit, Jermaine didn't even like Arnold is the #1 action star, and I don't know how you don't like that.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because after he texted the group, I was like, I'm kind of curious as to see where other of my friends stand on this.
Okay. And
the majority of the people said Tom Cruise was #1. The majority of my friends were like, Tom Cruise is #1. Arnold's great, but he's not #1 as Tom Cruise. And I was taken back by it, actually.
I was okay, fair enough. Everybody's got their own #1s. I think for at least for me and Nick, and maybe you, I won't speak to you just yet, but Arnold Schwarzenegger, while he wasn't like the OG action hero guy, he was the one who brought it to the forefront and was who perfected it. Like my analysis was like Patrick Waugh. There's a goalie style of play called the butterfly. He didn't invent the butterfly, but he perfected it to the point where everybody uses it now.
Yeah. I mean, how many action movies do you watch now where your main star has nothing but corny one-liners?
Oh.
And it's all because, and I think they only did that for Arnold because of the language barrier. But now it's a common thing. You got Vin Diesel saying this is Brazil in some weird accent, and the movie's making $1 billion. Like, so Arnold is the godfather of action movies. And maybe that doesn't make him #1. I will have to. Jermaine brought up a good point. Tom does his own stunts, man. The motherfucker was hanging off the side of a plane.
Yeah,
that's impressive. That. Yeah, that's impressive. No matter who you are.
Listen, I'm not gonna knock Tom Cruise. That's not my place. I'll put him. I have no problem putting him on the list. But for me, Arnold was the one who. Without Arnold, there is no action hero role in movies.
I mean, he went 102, right? We had 101 Arnold, and we went 102 Tom. So it's
totally fine.
It lines up. You can. Yeah. They're interchangeable.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. But yeah, Day of the Jackal. It's a pretty good show. Like I said, a couple more episodes.
Hey, you said Eddie Redmayne's look, he might not be an action star, but the dude has played a transgender and Stephen Hawking, and now he's doing this. That dude might be the most talented actor in Hollywood right now.
You know what? Every time I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff, but when I do, the dude is great. He can act. He can fill out, whatever role it is. So yeah.
I agree.
But yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. It's only 6 episodes. The story's, I wouldn't say it's groundbreaking by any means, but it's still well put together and the acting's good, all that good stuff. So
look, not everything has to be The Sopranos or Breaking Bad. Entertain me. Make me laugh every once in a while. Like, every time a movie comes out, if it's not the best thing that ever came out, everybody hates on it. It's like, come on, guys, not everything is the Oscar-winning movie of the year. Yeah. Only one can be that.
No, I agree. So, all right, before we dive into these leagues, do you have any big takeaways from the sports world this past week? Not just NFL, but anything in particular?
I'm I mean, I have a soapbox, but I'm gonna wait to get on that. And then the only other thing that I can think of was that they announced in the NBA. I don't know if they announced the exact format, but I'm kind of excited that the All-Star game is going to be more of a pickup style game. And I believe they're going to do, instead of just like 2 teams of 15, they're going to do 4 teams of, what was it, 8 or 7 or something like that. And they're going to compete against each other, which I like because they're trying something new because the All-Star game has been so bad for so long.
Yes. Yeah, I saw Shams talking about it today. I kind of saw it in passing. I just saw that there's a new format, like you said, pickup style basketball kind of format.
Yeah.
And I think, wasn't it like first to 25 or something like that?
You know what? I was working today, so I didn't get a chance to read the article, but I did know it's going to be a tournament style where it's like low scoring and pickup games in the street, Rucker Park. Like you go first to 21, you hold the court, you run the court all day.
If you flop, you're called a big old titty bitch, and you gotta go around with your skivvies off.
Dude, they should make the guys that lose have to donate a portion of their check to charity. We'll get some real competitive All-Star games after that.
Did you see Embiid's kind of flop doing his free throw? Like, bud, what's going on?
I think he has a mental malfunction or something.
Yeah. Speaking of NBA, did you hear Adam Silver talk about the TV viewership and why he thinks it's down for this year?
I got the update. I didn't read the article, but if you want to expand on that, I would love to hear this.
So the main points are that he believes the viewership for the NBA is down so far this year because of the World Series and the election.
We have those all the time.
Well, apparently this one hit particularly hard for him.
For the World Series, I don't understand why he would say that because most of those inflated numbers came from Japan, right? The entire nation was watching Shohei.
Sure.
So it wasn't even that high of a rated World Series. But
I haven't seen the numbers, but people watched it because it was Dodgers and Yankees. But other than that, the games were kind of doo-doo.
I think we had one comeback win, and everything else, like the team that was ahead, was pretty much winning the game.
Yeah, it got close for a little while, and then someone would rise up. But
this is just a terrible attempt by Adam Silver to try to, I guess, muddy the waters of the conversation of players missing games, shit like that. Like the reason your product's getting watered down is because players they have way too much power. Joel Embiid in the beginning of the season came out and said, "I'm not doing back-to-backs." No player should have the audacity or the balls to go to his owner and say, "Hey, I'm not doing that." Motherfucker, I pay you $60 million a year. If I want you out there on crutches or in a wheelchair, you're going to do it.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like an attempt by him to sweep under the rug the state of the NBA.
And then also, this is not something that's really been talked about, and I'm pretty sure the media is doing a really good job of trying to hide this. But there is a Lakers player, I believe, I forget his name. I think it's Kevin Porter. I could be completely wrong, but like assaulted his girlfriend. The NBA never did an investigation into it. Then the video comes out, so now they have that bad press. So it's like he's trying to come up with ways to. He's doing his job to try to negate the negative, meet the headlines, but it's not looking good for him. It's not. There's a lot of bad stuff going on right now. Man,
yeah, wild times. Well, since we're on the topic of the NBA, we'll start off with the NBA. Again, like Eric mentioned, both NHL and NBA are right around the quarter point for their seasons. So just kind of big picture reviewing each league, some winners, some losers, whether it's teams, players, if you have any awards or people outstanding who are clear-cut favorites, something like that. So without further ado, Eric, what is the state of the NBA?
For me, it's in shambles. All right. Let's just, you know what? No, I'm going to start with the good because there is a lot of good stuff going on in the NBA, and I'll circle back to what I was trying to get into here. But, so I went ahead and I took 4 teams as my teams who should be happy or, biggest, I don't want to say surprises, but they're looking the best. I'm going to start with the obvious choice here. So we have the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? They are 16-1. Their only loss this year came against the reigning NBA champion Boston Celtics, a 130 to 120 or 127 to 130 score. Boston had a record-setting performance for 3.5, and Darius Garland shot like 3 for 15 in that game for the Cavs. So Cleveland looks legit, right? They are first in point differential at plus 12.9. They're second in points per 100 possessions at 124.7. And that's different for this team because this team has always been, under their previous coach, they were more of a defensive juggernaut. Still a defensive juggernaut. They are 8th in points allowed per 100 at 111.8.
Are you throwing an R in there in juggernaut?
Juggernaut.
You saying juggernaut?
Juggernaut. How do you juggernaut? Juggernaut? How do you say it?
Juggernaut.
Juggernaut?
I keep hearing an R before the G's.
Maybe it's the French or Spanish in me. You know what I mean? It causes.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Get the peanut butter out of your mouth.
Yeah, but they're still the defensive powerhouse. Had to switch it up there because I don't know if I'm saying it right, but they're 8th in points allowed per 100 at 111.8. This team is built well on both sides of the ball. They're deep. Evan Mobley has improved offensively, but he's turning out to be. Might get some heat for this, but he's turned out to be like a lower tier level Draymond Green as far as being a perimeter shutdown defender. He can guard your best player any night of the week, and he's going to take him out of the game. This offensive explosion from them is what they should be happy about. New coach, he's revolutionized it. I wrote down here those stats, and then the only con I have for them is that the playoffs are Donovan Mitchell's kryptonite, and we'll see what comes, because right now they look like arguably the best team in the NBA, if not the second best team in the NBA. So shout out to the Cleveland Cavaliers, 16-1, first in the NBA, first in the East. They're playing their asses off. I'm going to move over to the West Coast now for the next 3 for my teams who should be happy. So I'm going to start with the first place Golden State Warriors. Now you might be thinking to yourself, like, yo, they've won 4 championships. How is this, a shock to you? Well, they lost Klay Thompson. They're getting older. They brought in some smaller pieces, but nothing that I thought moved the needle. Jermaine was a little bit higher on them in the offseason, and now we see why. So they're sitting at 11-3, first in the West. They're 5th in point differential at plus 9.2. They're 13th. So offense is slacked a little bit. They're 13th in points per 100 at 115.3. But that's because I don't think they have a true second scorer, which I wrote down as their major con, is they don't have a true second scorer. But in 2022, when they beat the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals, you could argue they didn't have a true second scorer back then. So I don't know how big of a deal that is for them. But so defense is slipped a little bit, but their offense is slipped a little bit, but their defense is bananas. They're 3rd in points allowed per 100 at 106.1. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch the game, but they are relentless. They attack. They're aggressive. They continuously move. Their communication is out of this world. That alone could carry them deep in the playoffs. And something that Steve Kerr has been talking about lately that we don't see often is he's running a 12-man rotation right now.
Jesus, that's with like the whole damn roster.
Essentially, the whole roster is getting playing time. And, this is because of injuries and stuff, so it's not going to stay like this. But they have 13 players right now on the roster that are averaging 15-plus minutes a game. You'll look at rosters and you'll see 13, 14 guys who get double-digit minutes, but you'll get one or 2 or 3 guys that get like 10.1, 9.8 minutes, right? But these 13 players all above 15 minutes a game. They're doing it with Steph Curry only playing 29 minutes a game. He's averaging 23 points, 5 and 7 on 29 minutes a game. And their only 3 losses, they missed 10 plus free throws in all 3 losses. So if they adjust that, they could be undefeated. 2 of those losses came to the Clippers. One of the things we know about the Warriors is they struggle with a little bit of size. I can see how Zubac would be a problem for them. And the Clippers, I saw them live. They're long, they're athletic, they're tall, they're fast. That's enough about the fucking Clippers.
Yeah, it's wild about the Warriors because, oh man, what was it? Probably 2-3 years ago, after their runs in the championship, they seemed to just get old and slow, and it just seemed like this was the downfall of the Warriors, was just age finally just caught up to them.
Yeah,
obviously Klay gets shipped out, or not shipped out, but doesn't re-sign. We all know about the KD stuff. And then Steph's like, I'm sticking it out. And here he is, number one in the Western Conference.
I agree. Every year it seems like every offseason we're writing off the Warriors. They're old. Now they lost Clay. And that just speaks to Steph's greatness. But I think it also speaks to Bob Myers' greatness, how he brings in players that fit the system. And it also speaks to Steve Kerr. I think we fall into that trap of, saying Mark Jackson actually built the team. He drafted them. True, but you can draft whoever you want. It doesn't mean you're going to put it together. I mean, we've seen super teams fail. So a lot of credit to Steve Kerr. He's doing an amazing job out there. Bob Myers continues to bring in people that – I mean, Jonathan Kuminga just went to the bench, and they're still winning games. Like, that was supposed to be one of their key players this year, and they've benched him. So, I mean, they just do everything right. Next, I'm going to go down to I was a season early on this team, so I'm a little salty about that. But the Houston Rockets are 10-5. Don't look now, but they're fourth in point differential, ninth in offense and points per 100. They were a bottom 10 team last year in offense. Now they're ninth. They're a top 10 team. They're putting up 115.6 per 100, and they're second in defense in points allowed per 100. They're 105.9. So all those guys they brought in last year to be, to shape that defense, that's working. But now that offense has followed, and they're 10-5. I believe they would have been on a 7-game win streak if the refs hadn't blown a Giannis stepped out of bounds call. So Giannis stepped out of bounds, led to some points. The Rockets lost, but they would have currently be on a 7-game win streak had that gone their way. So a lot of love down there to them. I picked them last year to win the division. That backfired, but they look good now. I think they're second or third in the West, and they're barreling down on Golden State. So and then lastly, I hate to give these guys any love, but the Los Angeles Lakers, man, they're 10-4. Yeah. They're 13th in point differential at plus 1.9. Their offense is fourth in the league right now in points per 100. They're 118.6 points per game right now, or per 100 right now. They're slacking on defense. They're 21st in points allowed per 100 at 116.8. They still have a positive differential. And I think that's just going to be cleanup work, new coach, new system, rookies getting adjusted. And that is the biggest point for the Los Angeles Lakers is Dalton Knecht is a baller. Yep. In his last 4, he's averaging 24 points per game on 21 for 31 from deep. And another great news, LeBron James has left social media.
Nuh-uh.
He blacked it out. He's back to that grind mode. And we've seen this before where he goes blackout on the social media for deep playoff runs. So maybe this is a different LeBron and a different Lakers this year. We'll see.
He's trying to go playoff mode LeBron in the middle part of November. I don't know if he's got the juice in his legs to hold that up, but good on you, LeBron. Hopefully you stay off social media when you're done with it.
What's crazy is one thing we have to talk about for the Lakers is Anthony Davis is really establishing himself this year. I know he's been a great player, an all-pro player. Like, there's no questioning that. But I think he's like second in the NBA in scoring right now. They were flopping back and forth between him and Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant went out, so I'm assuming AD's taking over. But
points per game you're talking about?
Yeah.
So Anthony Davis is second at 30.7. First is Giannis at 32.
Okay, so KD did drop a little bit.
Yeah, I don't even see KD in the top 5.
Really? Okay, interesting. All right. Well, he has been out for like 7 games, but anyway. So, yeah. Shout out to the Lakers. They're doing good stuff. I dislike the franchise. I dislike their main star, but they're doing good stuff, and they should be happy with what they're seeing right now. They can hopefully only improve. And let's face it, everybody loves the NBA when it's more competitive. So as much as I dislike them, it's good that they're good because we're going to get more competitive playoff basketball. So
I agree. Everybody wants competitiveness. All right. So we got some winners. We got some team winners. Now the other side of the coin. Coin. Some losers. Yeah. And I'm going to throw it out there so you don't come off as a Philly hater, but by God.
Yeah.
Sixers are rough.
It is arguably the worst. They are arguably the worst team in the NBA. I got some data to prove that, not just some unbiased, unflinching bias like Jermaine says, or whatever Jermaine says about me. But so let's get into it, man. Philadelphia 76ers, 2-11. We'll go ahead and just jump into it. Joel Embiid's been injured, didn't come into the season ready, out of shape, even though he played the Olympics. The Sixers have been shady with how they're handling it. There's been an investigation to that. I don't know if the investigation has been concluded, but the fact that they're being investigated is enough to know that something's going on, right? They give in the offseason, we bring in Paul George. I got a lot of slack for being kind of against the signing, and I'm being proven right now. The guy is 5 weeks into the season, and he's already on his second extended run of missing games due to a second knee injury. So,
is it the same knee or different knee?
I believe it's the same knee, and it's the same injury that he got in the preseason on the same knee.
Oh, sick.
So either it's a genetic thing for him, and that's just always going to be the case, or more likely the Philadelphia medical unit or medical team is just garbage, because we seem to have injured players all the time. But so with Paul George on the court and no Embiid, they're still getting outscored by 12 points per game. Without Embiid on the court and Paul George are getting outscored by 20.4 points per game. So, we're getting blown out by everybody. We're 27th in point differential at a minus 9.8. We're 30th in points per 100 possessions at 105.4. We are the worst offense in the NBA. And then our defense is not any better. We're 30th in points. We're 17th. We're 17th on defense. It's not that bad, but still, we have a negative differential. There's locker room dysfunction. We had locker room meetings. Tyrese Maxey, another player who's injured, is calling out our superstar Joel Embiid for being late to things and not being fully committed. Joel Embiid goes out to the media and says he's upset that the media leaked the content of the meetings, and it's just the writing's on the wall. I don't know how much longer Joel Embiid will be a Philadelphia 76er.
From the outside looking in, I don't think I'm in left field saying this, but I'm with Maxey on this.
Yeah.
Like, it is for the last 4 years, 3 out of 4, whatever you want to say, he's in the short list for MVP.
Yep.
Him, Joker, Giannis, Luka, SGA recently, something like that. He is in the short list.
Absolutely.
Why? Yeah. Call out your star center, your big man, who he was the heart and soul for the team 2-3 years ago when he was crushing it. And now all of a sudden it's all these excuses and can't play and stuff like that. I'm with Maxey 100%. Like, you can tell he's a guy who wants to win. He's there for the team. Like, let's fucking go, dude.
Yeah.
And now Embiid's like, well, come on. Like, what's going on? Like, that was supposed to be private. Dude, that's not something that should be private.
The media should be getting on your ass too. Like, it's unacceptable. You get paid millions, and like, you get paid more money in one season than the majority of people in this lifetime will ever see. Right? Like, go play basketball, man. You get to play a kid sport. And yes, you're injury prone. Maybe you should play more games, but less minutes in those games. I don't know. Have we ever thought of that? Maybe we limit somebody to 25 minutes instead of playing 38. That might help with the injuries, but who knows? People it's a soft ass generation. And for the first time since we got him, I actually caught myself looking at potential suitors for trades, because with Paul George and Maxey and Nick Nurse as our coach, and there's other good players there, like, we can compete. I don't know if we can win, but we can compete. Let's say we make a trade with the Minnesota Timberwolves. We get McDaniels and Rudy Gobert and somebody else. Like, that's a team that can compete. I'm not saying we're going to win, but at least we got guys who are going to be on the court playing for the money they're earning and at least care enough to, like, want to win a championship. They don't just say, I want to build a legacy and win a championship, and then don't do anything about it.
Yeah. That kind of rotation could probably win more than 2 games in a month.
Yeah. 5 weeks in and we won 2 games. It's the second worst start in franchise history. And the worst start in franchise history is what led to the process. So hopefully let's not repeat that, because the process was an utter failure.
The process 2.0. Well, good news for you is that your Dallas Mavericks are at least above 500, but Luka's out. Sounds like week to week. But
yeah, he's got a wrist injury and
soft wrists. Yeah. All right, so we got the Sixers as a loser. Any other losers on your NBA quarter poll?
Yeah, so this one, outside of the Sixers and then one of these other teams that I'm going to mention, it was hard to find because basically what I'm going against preseason expectations to where they're at now. So I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Bucks. They've gotten better. They started 2-7 or 2-8, and now they're 5-9. So they've gotten better. But they're 18th in point differential, 17th in offense points per 100 at 112.9. They're 18th in defense, which is not something that Milwaukee ever really was under Bud and with Giannis and them boys. They're 18th in points allowed per 100 at 115.3, and so they have a negative differential. This team looks old and unathletic, and it's funny to say with the team that has Giannis on it, but outside of Giannis, the team looks old and unathletic. Dame's slipping. His shooting percentages are down. Chris Middleton has yet to come back and play. Even when he does, Chris Middleton is not an athletic young guy, so I don't know how much he helps them. Doc Rivers is an ass-water coach, and it feels like Giannis wants out. I know they've improved, and Giannis is a competitor, so he's out there competing, but I believe it's a very real possibility that he will not be a Milwaukee Buck next year, or even at the trade deadline, depending on how this turnaround for them goes. Like if this is a brief stint and they end up going on another slide, I can see him requesting a trade. So, and then for my last two, I'll make this quick because I know we got to get into the NHL too. So I'm going to go with the New Orleans Pelicans. They're 4-11. They're 29th in point differential. They're 27th in offense, and they're 29th in defense. That's not really a reflection of their talent. It's a reflection of their health. Their projected starting lineup to start the season has played a grand total of 0 minutes together.
Is that bad?
That's wonderful if you're doing something else, but if you're playing basketball, it's horrible.
Okay.
Zion's out. We're starting to see trending hashtags for trade Zion. It seems like these fan bases are just getting tired of these guys who don't want to play, man. LA's tired of Kawhi. The Sixers are tired of Joel. It seems like New Orleans is getting tired of Zion, and it's sad because the man is a monster when he's on the court.
Yep.
So that's the biggest letdown for New Orleans is they could be a top 3 team in the East or West or whatever division they're in, but they are just horribly injured. And I'll close it out with the Phoenix Suns. They're 9-7. They're 20th in point differential at -3. Their defense is god awful. They're 20th in points allowed at 116.7 per 100. One of the pros that they have is last year they were -5.5 in a net rating in clutch minutes, which is basically any game that's within 5 points within the last 5 minutes of the game, right? This year they're 7-2 of those games, and then KD went down, and they went from a +14.2 with KD in those situations back down to a negative number at -3.2, which is higher than their -5.5 last year. Mm-hmm. But that brings me full circle to this. Without Kevin Durant, they're 1-5. They're 0-4 without Bradley Beal. I just think they brought in pieces to help, and it looked good. But this team, and the problem with it to me is, especially in the playoffs, is they are going to rely way too much on 36-year-old Kevin Durant. He's not an injury-prone guy, but he does have injury history, and he can be expected to miss time. And we're clearly seeing that without him, even though they have Book and Beal and whoever the hell else they brought in, it's just not enough to win in this league. So that's my last disappointment of the season so far. They looked good until Kevin Durant went down, and with his injury, it just shows how bad of a basketball team they actually are.
Interesting. Well, like I said, quarter way through the season, it's time to turn it around for some teams not named the Sixers. That's a hell of a hole. Yeah. Real quick, do you have a quarter season MVP front runner?
Joker. He's shooting. He's averaging a triple-double on over 50% shooting.
Yeah, and I think if I heard right, he's 55% from 3.
Yeah. The things that man does on a basketball court every year as he continually gets better is out of control. The truth of it is MVP it should be for the best player, and obviously he's the best player in basketball.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the voter fatigue, because that was a real thing when number 3 came around. But I think when that happened, voters were kind of like, well, we don't want to, but like he is the best.
Yeah. So. And then I do want to give a shout out. Coming back from a broken jaw last year, he's definitely not in the MVP conversation, but he might as well be in the All-Pro conversation. Darius Garland. probably the engine. I want to say he's the engine behind the 16-1 start for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I know there's a lot that goes into it. They're getting 27 points a game from Donovan Mitchell. They're getting amazing defense from Mobley. But that guy healthy, he's putting up, 24, 7, and 6, which, we're so used to these inflated numbers with what Russell Westbrook was putting up. But for a point guard that isn't like this crazy freak like Russell Westbrook, that's great numbers. And he's captaining that team fantastically. So shout out to him for coming back, being healthy, and steering that ship to a 16-1 start.
Yeah, the Cavs are surprising. I think, at least for me going into the season, it was relying on the defense.
Yeah.
Can you grind it out? And then all of a sudden you get this offensive explosion. Good offense, good defense equals 16-1. Doesn't get much more simple than that.
And their coach is probably in the running for probably the odds-on favorite for coach of the year. Because, it's only 17 games in the season. A lot could change, but this just looks like a completely different team, and it's the same team. It's the same players.
Yeah.
Minus, I think they added one rookie, and I forget his name, but he's doing fantastic for them. He's shooting lights out.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't have him as on the short list at the very least. So, very good. All right. Well, we will switch over to hockey real quick. Lost my train of thought. So we'll just jump into it. Some winners, some hockey winners from the NHL. There's a handful, but the ones that come out on top, we'll start in the East. Eastern Conference is the Washington Capitals.
Okay.
They rode the coattails of their, I'm pretty sure he was a rookie goalie last year, Lindgren. I think people were kind of expecting a little bit of regression, just because that doesn't happen often where you catch a rookie goalie and are able to maintain that. That being said, as of this evening, they're playing right now, but they are 13-4-1 through 18 games, 27 points on the season, and that's good for second in the Eastern Conference overall. Alexander Ovechkin chasing Wayne Gretzky's goal record. Unfortunately, Ovi got diagnosed with a fractured fibula, so he'll be out for a month, 6 weeks, somewhere around there. So he'll probably be out until after the Christmas break.
Wait, hold on. You said 6 weeks?
Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks.
Isn't that the same injury that Aiden Hutchinson had?
No, Aiden Hutchinson had, I'm pretty sure it was a compound tib fib.
Oh, okay. Like the whole thing snapped.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, cool. No, I was like, they're both different in the NHL, man.
No. Yeah, Ovi was, he just got clipped. He didn't see the guy coming, and if I remember the replay, I don't think the other guy saw where he was at, so it was just a shitty accident. But yeah, Ovi was on fire. He was leading the league last I checked in goals scored. Let's see if he's still up there. Yep, he's still in the lead for the league lead at 15 goals. Going into this season, I think he needed, I want to say it was like 42 goals to break the record. So he was well on the pace. So we'll see. Obviously, 4 to 6 weeks, you're losing out on another 10 goals or so at minimum. So he'll have to come back and see where he can get from there. But
is that the only reason he's still playing, you think? He wants that record? Or did he just love the game?
I think he truly loves the game.
Okay.
But I think also, I guess it'd be different if the team was shitty.
Yeah.
If the team was shitty and he was still playing, I mean, the dude's still in good shape. He's 39, which for hockey is stupid old. But yeah, he's still really good. I'm sure he's got the love for the game. But yeah, I'm sure there's a part of him too that's like, if I have a chance to break a record held by Gretzky, I'm probably going to stick around to see if I can hit it. So, but yeah, great start for him. Another team out west, shot out of a cannon, the Winnipeg Jets. They started the year winning 14 of 15 games. And through 19 games, they're 16-3 for a point total of 32 points. And they are in fuego. They currently lead the NHL in goal differential at plus 34. Connor Hellebuck, who was fantastic last year in net, has picked up and probably gone a step above where he was last year. He's doing fantastic. Some of the players that we kind of thought would need some help or would have to pick up the slack have done exactly that. They got great depth from the forwards group. Their coach, Scott Arneal, is probably on the short list for coach of the year. I mean, he has to be when you're 16-3 and just crushing it.
Yeah.
They have shown no signs of slowing down. Obviously, we'll see what happens when we get to the playoffs. But, for a team that got shell-shocked in the first round playing against Colorado, they look like the best team in the league. And it shows stat-wise. They are let me pull up their stats real quick. They are number one power play unit. They score the second most goals in the entire league, and they give up the fifth fewest. So they are playing exceptionally well right now. Good for them. It's too bad they're in the division with the Avs, but whatever. It happens. Another winner. I'll switch over to a player because this player has played very well. He's second in points. Kirill Kaprizov, the forward for Minnesota Wild. If you guys remember, a couple years ago, he was the Russian rookie who took the league by storm. A little bit of a dip. I mean, not really, but from where his trajectory was, a little bit of a dip. This year, he stormed out. He is currently second in the league with 33 points. He is tied for fourth in goals scored with 13. He is tied fourth in assists with 20. He is a top 2 for plus minus, which isn't really a great stat, but nonetheless, that's one that some people point out to. So he has played fantastic. He's on the short list of leaders with the likes of Nathan McKinnon, Alexander Ovechkin, and before too long, Connor McDavid will show up as well because he's doing Connor McDavid stuff again. So those are some winners for the NHL. Losers. We'll save the big one for last because that one's head scratching. Loser, Pittsburgh. I was going to say Pirates. Pittsburgh Penguins. I think in our preseason rundown, I don't know if any of us had Pittsburgh to make the playoffs. I hope nobody did. I know I didn't. They are bad. It's a continuation of last year, minus the special teams issues, but they are currently dead last in the league in goal differential at minus 26. That includes teams like the Blackhawks. Sorry, Jermaine, who don't even have as many points as games they've played. That includes teams like the San Jose Sharks, who are in complete rebuild mode. Pittsburgh has four future Hall of Famers on the team, and they are massively underperforming. Sidney Crosby's, again, dragging the team to wins. Evgeny Malkin has had spurts here and there. Erik Karlsson on the back end is not doing so hot for what he is expected to do, and Chris Letang on the back end as well. Just there's going to be changes. I don't know if they're going to fire their head coach, which would be kind of big because he's
Didn't they, or was that Boston that did that?
Boston.
Boston. Okay.
They're on the loser list here, but I can't remember if their head coach has won 2 or all 3 Stanley Cups with the Penguins, but that's kind of the reason why he's still there is, a legacy. Like, you did all this great stuff. We'll eat some shit for a while, but at some point you get full of the shit. I don't know if they'll move on from him, but it's possible. That being said, perfect segue. as Nick and Jermaine would say, professional podcasting, the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins, initially I had them out because their stud goalie, Jeremy Swayman, was not signed. He re-signed, I believe it was a week before the season started. He has not played well. Got his bag, has not played well. They are currently right in the middle of their Atlantic Division at 8-9-3, 19 points in 20 games. They are also have a bad goal differential at -21. And as Eric alluded to, they fired their head coach, Jim Montgomery. And you may say, well, 8-9-3, that's below 500. That's not that great. Okay. Let me just remind you that Jim Montgomery has been with Boston for 3 seasons. Would you like to guess what his points percentage is? A good head coach is probably about 600, something like that.
600?
600, or 60% of the time.
600,
yeah.
Considering that you're talking about them firing him, you said a good one, 600. Let's go 215.
He has a points percentage of 71%. His record with the Bruins is 120, 41, and 23. And if I'm not mistaken, it was his first year. They won the President's Trophy for the most points in the league. Not only was it the most points in the league, it set an all-time record for points in the regular season.
Good Lord.
They made the playoffs twice under him. Both of them lost to the Panthers, which, if you haven't followed hockey in a while, Florida Panthers have been to back-to-back Stanley Cups. So I understand they're upset, but I don't know. I don't get why you're moving on from a guy who's won 71% of the games he has played in or coached in. And now you replace him with a former Colorado Avalanche coach and Joe Sacco, which were some dark times for the Avs. And his whole thing was dump the puck in and chase it. Dump the puck in and chase it. Well,
doesn't sound like a good strategy.
You want to hold on to the puck as much as you can. Dumping and chasing is kind of a last resort. That's old school hockey. That's not how hockey's played anymore. That
feels to me like in soccer when you're at the end of the game and you're just taking every shot from everywhere you can to try to tie it up. It's not effective.
No, it's because as soon as you dump it in, now it's a 50-50 race.
Yeah.
If you hold on to the puck, you've got a better chance. You can pass, stuff like that. And obviously Boston has the talent on the roster, with the exception of some free agents they brought over who have really sucked up. Elias Lindholm comes over from ultimately Vancouver. He's got 9 points in 20 games. He should not be that low. They signed him to a big ticket. He should be closer to 15 points right now. And then Nikita Zadorov, big guy on the back end, not really known for his offensive stuff, but he's got 5 points in 20 games. He's making a lot of dumb mistakes. Some of the players on the bench have kind of had some grumbles with some of the moves he's made. So some interesting times in Boston. And I'm trying to remember if this was no. Okay, that was Nashville. So, Boston, I understand you're not thrilled at an 8-9-3 start, but a lot of teams are right around that 500 mark.
It seems really early to get rid of a coach that's that winning. It's almost like if Philadelphia fired Nick Sirianni after going to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Just because the fans are mad doesn't mean you got fuck off, dude. There's a whole season left. We could go on a 15-game win streak.
Yeah,
and be right at the top.
Yeah, I'm not sure unless there's something that isn't out there, like players didn't like him. But from everything that's been said is that the players like him. He's able to connect with the players pretty well. He's a younger coach as far as NHL coaches go, but he had great success at DU when he was here won the national championship. He did really well in Dallas before he had some personal issues, and that's why he got let go there. Boston gave him a chance. He tore it up there. So I don't doubt that he'll land on his feet. But yeah, I mean, currently, as far as the conference goes, Boston is 10th. The top 8 get in, and they are points-wise tied with eighth place. So it just comes down to tiebreakers.
Okay.
So
it's not over. It's just
no, absolutely not.
mm.
But yeah, Jeremy Swayman's not helping his case. He hasn't been on fire like he showed last year, which, you know, sometimes that happens. You get the bag and then the dude checks out, right? I mean, we see it all the time in other sports. But and then the final team that's playing like doo-doo, and I think this was, you know, for myself, Nick, and I'm sure Jermaine, it's nice to see that the Predators are not as dangerous as we initially thought. So far, anyway, they are currently 6-11-3, 15 points through 20 games. We mentioned it in the preseason shows. How many times do teams bring in the big free agents, trade for them, whatever the case may be? Hey, here's a 1-year deal, here's a 2-year deal. How many times do those super teams truly live up to expectations?
Very rarely.
And here's another example.
Yeah.
They got a shit ton of talent, but their offense is non-existent, and their defense outside of the penalty kill is middle of the pack to lower middle of the pack. I guess we'll start with the quote-unquote good for Nashville. They have the best penalty kill in the league. Awesome. The rest of their defense, they rank 18th in goals allowed. They give up the bottom third in shots allowed, 30 a game, and they take a fair amount of penalties at 10 minutes a game. They're really good on faceoffs. Cool. You gain possession of the puck. They are where would you expect Nashville to rank out of 32 teams for goals per game that they score? On paper, they should be a top 10, maybe
5.
even a top 5.
Yeah.
Top 5 team.
I mean, you guys said they brought in a bunch of big names, so
yeah,
you would think, but
yeah,
they're probably what, 28th, 27th,
dead last. And mind you, there is the San Jose Sharks,
yeah,
the Chicago Blackhawks, St. Louis Blues. Those teams are out there, and the Predators, for all the world beaters on their team, can't even score on average 2.5 goals a game. They are bad. Their power play is good, top 10. They're getting shots on goal right in the middle at 15th in the league. But their shooting percentage, which kind of goes hand in hand with the goals, dead last. They score on 7% of the shots they take.
So they're just taking empty shots.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, you know, the season, or not the season, but the you know, chemistry. It's Jermaine's main man at head coach. Andrew Burnett's a great offensive mind. We see that with the power play, number 10 in the league, but just haven't figured it out 5-on-5 quite yet. I don't doubt that they will at some point, but right now they don't have. Looking here, they do not even have a single player on their team with double-digit goals. The closest is 8. So they're getting some production from everywhere, but it's low production. 2 goals, 3 goals, 2 goals, 2 goals, and then your top guys are like 6, 6, 8. So they got a lot of work to do. I don't doubt that they'll figure it out. Maybe they need another canceled trip to the Sphere like they did last year to finally wake up. But bad start for Nashville. They got to figure it out, and they're running out of time. I know we talked about it for the NBA. NHL is the same thing. If you're in a playoff spot or nipping at the heels of the playoff spot at Christmas time, that's probably what the playoff picture is going to look like. Just because those teams there will keep winning, so it's hard to catch up to teams unless they start losing, which doesn't happen. There'll be a team or two here and there that'll fall out, but for the most part, what you see at Christmas is probably what you're going to see in the springtime. So the other one I got for a loser is, and I don't want to say loser so much, but another cold start, which we said could not happen, and that's the Edmonton Oilers. They started cold. McDavid wasn't doing so hot. Then he got injured. He was out for, I believe it was a week or so, something like that. And, of course, he's picking it up. He just scored his 1,000th point the other day. I believe it was the fourth fastest all-time to do that. Gretzky, again, is number 1 and number 2, which is funny to say. He scored 1,000 the fastest and another 1,000 second fastest.
That's
so,
yeah.
Edmonton's, they've had issues with goaltending as well. I picked Skinner as like a dark horse for Vezina for the best goalie. It's not quite there yet. They're right in the middle at goals allowed. They're giving up a shit ton of shots on goal. Their penalty kill is 30th in the league, which is not what you want. Their power play, which is usually a consistent top 5, is 19th in the league. They're peppering the other team. They're just not connecting on them as much. So I don't doubt that Edmonton will start to piece it together. They're not like in a world of hurt. They're fine at 10-8-2, but for what we projected, they should have been instead of 22 points, they probably should have been up towards the league with Winnipeg at 30, high 20s, something like that. So they're there, but they're just kind of slow to wake up. So I don't doubt that they'll figure it out, but it is disappointing. But that's NHL in a nutshell. That's about it for the NHL. MVP for right now. Man, I think I could be a homer and say McKinnon because he leads the entire league in points, but Real Kaprizov, like I said, he's right there. He's 1 point behind McKinnon. He's top 5 in goals scored, top 5 in assists, top 5 plus minus.
Whose team is like who has the better points or most points on the season? The Mild or the Avs?
Mild.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they're just 27-20.
So like I feel like if it comes down to it, like the end of the season, it's him and Makar or you said McKinnon, sorry, him and McKinnon at the end there. I think it just comes down to who has the better record. And you guys had that piss poor start. Seems like you've turned it around, but that start was bad for you guys, man.
Yeah, the inconsistency in goaltending really screwed things up. Between that and a shit ton of injuries, at one point for 2 or 3 games, we were missing 6 of our top 9 forwards.
God, that sounds like the Chicago Cubs all year this year.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you look at the injured list and you're like, God damn, that's a starting lineup right there,
dude. Yeah.
So, but yeah, Kaprizov, I'd have to look to see what his odds are to win the Hart for MVP. I'm sure he's got to be top 3 favorite, but he's done very well. Hopefully he can keep it up. We know McKinnon can. He's shown that year over year, so it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. So real quick, we did our quarter check-in. Who do you got in the Stanley Cup coming East and West? Who do you think is going to make it? Just wild guess.
I'd like to say Winnipeg, but I don't trust Hellebuck in the playoffs. He's not good career-wise in the playoffs, so I'm going to stay away from Winnipeg. I'm gonna still stick with Dallas. They've, again, I don't know how, but they've been quietly impressive. They got a stud goaltender, pretty much the same team as last year. We know how dangerous they were, so I'll go with Dallas in the West. In the East, I can't believe I'm going to say it, but the Panthers.
The new Tampa Bay, the new Tampa Lightning going again.
I guess they're biting the heels of first place in the Eastern Conference. They pretty much got the same team. They got a lot of their core guys and auxiliary guys locked up. It's the same old song and dance with them.
Mhm.
So far, they haven't gotten into the not injury bug, but getting tired. They don't have the hangover yet.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens when they come playoff time, but they're also a team that is built to play playoff hockey. So
They're kind of like they just coast into the playoffs. Just get into the playoffs, and then you can do your damage.
Which is funny because them coasting and just playing their game has them almost at top of the league in points.
Phenomenal.
So
phenomenal.
Yeah, we'll see. Three cups in a row. Obviously, Tampa did it a few years ago, but that is very difficult. That's a massive toll on the body because playoff hockey is no joke.
Yeah. Wow. So you already heard, ladies and gentlemen, Dallas versus Florida. We're gonna get a rematch of last year. Hopefully with a different outcome, though.
Not last year. Last year was Edmonton.
Oh, Edmonton. I forgot about that. Yeah.
But yeah, Edmonton and Dallas were in the conference.
Dallas was supposed to be there because I bet on them, and then they lost because I bet on them. I remember.
That's probably it. That's probably it.
Ridiculous. Yep. All right. Anything else on the NHL for the 10s and 10s?
No.
Cool. Sweet. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going into the reason you're here, our Week 12 slate for the NFL. This one shouldn't take too long. We have Nick's Nuggies. Unfortunately, our other host wasn't able to provide his picks. I'll get those uploaded when he does. So we'll get Nevada's picks. I'll give us the Nuggies for the ones that they apply, and happy betting this week. So we'll jump right into it. Let me get this added in. Boom.
Do you have any takeaways from what week are we on now? 10?
We're on 12 now. So last week would have been 11. I think my main takeaway was the proof is in the pudding. Defense is always going to be offense. Pittsburgh handed Baltimore. Not a bad L because Pittsburgh only scored field goals, but that defense did enough for them to win the game, which is amazing.
It was a classic Steelers-Ravens game.
Yeah, it felt like it. Yeah. We were all worried it was going to be like something different because the league's changing and the Ravens look like a much different version of what we normally see from the Ravens. But and then other than that, the only other thing I wrote down was that the Chargers, when needed, can put up points. Apparently,
Maybe.
Didn't expect that. I thought the under was going to hit on that for sure. And Cincinnati can't stop anybody. Like nobody.
Yeah. So I'll work off that Cincy one. One of my takeaways was that Cincy has to make adjustments because it was Jekyll and Hyde, first half, second half, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cincy has to make adjustments quicker in games and in their season as a whole so that they don't have to keep trying to dig themselves out of the holes, both in games and in season as a whole.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. I think I saw Joe Burrow's first quarterback in NFL history to throw 300 plus yards and is either 3 or 4 touchdowns in back-to-back weeks and lose both games.
Oh man, poor Joey B, man. They're wasting him and Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. Because they're a good team. They just gotta make some tweaks so they don't have to find themselves in these holes.
I just don't get how it's such a talented team can come out so flat every year. Like you have 17 games, right? Like it's not just a 12-game season. It's a 17-game season, guys. But
it's bizarre. Any other takeaways from last week?
No, those are my two main ones. I watched the Eagles game on Thursday, and then I barely turned in on Sunday. So I did catch some of the Pittsburgh game and some of the Chargers game. I didn't catch really much anything else.
All right. I have a couple takeaways. Like I said, this one was kind of boxing adjacent. On Christmas Day, Netflix is hosting an NFL game. Might be 2. I know they have 2 on the slate, I believe, but I know for sure they have Christmas Day. They have to figure out their live streaming, because you think there's a lot of people watching the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul tickle fight. Just wait until you have Christmas Day football.
Yeah.
That's going to put some strain on your servers. Go out to Best Buy, whatever it is, buy a couple extra servers because you cannot have that happening. I'm sure the NFL will have a conversation with them, and if it happens again, the NFL is going to say, "Thank you for trying Netflix. We're moving on."
Yeah, that's bad. There was a couple people mad about the Jake Paul fight, but you get these NFL fans, you give them a shitty product and or a shitty stream, and they're gonna lose their minds, man.
Yeah. Second one, there's too many bad coaches being held on to for too long.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest one is Eberflus.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of like the Dennis Allen thing, right? Like, why? You've seen he's down his third season, if I'm not mistaken. It's at least,
yes.
I know it's not, last year wasn't his first year. I think it's third season. Yeah, you got rid of Shane Waldron for your OC, and Caleb looked a little bit better, a little bit more free. But the clock management at the end of that game, you still have a timeout left, and there was, I believe, 40 seconds left.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't, if you want to pass it, great. Or if you want to try to run it, great. You have options. You still have a timeout and 40 seconds. You got plenty of time to get a little bit closer, whatever side of the field. Instead, you're just going to blow all that. And then that's what you get.
Dude.
Come on, bud.
The whole time I was watching the highlight and they were talking about it. I was like, what was the thought process there?
And I know he explained it, and I can't remember what he said, but I didn't like it because, who doesn't want to try to get their field goal kicker another 4 or 5 yards, whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
Again, 40 seconds. We're not talking like you've got 12 seconds or something. You got a timeout. The entire playbook is open with a timeout. So
maybe he doesn't trust his quarterback not to make a turnover. I don't know.
Well, how much during that game did you see Caleb Williams scramble outside the pocket and run up for 8, 10, 12 yards?
I didn't. Was he doing that often?
He did it a few times where every time I looked up and I noticed him scrambling out of the pocket, it was like, all right, he's not staying in the pocket. He's kind of running a little bit more, kind of like a Justin Fields, but, better thrower. But he, like I said, he was playing more free. He wasn't stuck in the pocket. He wasn't taking sacks. He was trying to use his legs. Come on, let him go. 40 seconds, one timeout. Give it some. And then my final takeaway. If you had Derrick Henry on your team, what would be one of your focal points for your offense?
Wait, what?
I assume if you had Derrick Henry on your team.
Yeah, run the ball.
Okay. I was just checking. Monken, the OC, for the Ravens, clearly has not learned anything from the first 2 weeks. Derrick Henry was on the sidelines for the 2-point conversion at the end of the game. On the sideline, not even on the field, decoy or actually giving it to him on the sideline, helmet off on the sideline.
Fire that coach.
Would you like to know? Well, I'll just put it this way. In games that the Ravens lose, Derrick Henry averages 14 carries a game. 14 for the best running back in the league. When they win, he averages 21 touches a game. That seems like a pretty simple formula to me. I don't know.
7 more times, give him the ball. Especially on the goal line to win the game against Pittsburgh.
Even if you want to sell out, and have him be a fake where it's going to be like a dive play and just go straight in, and Lamar rolls out, and maybe Mark Andrews is on the back end zone line or something like that, so he's got the run or pass option.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be fine if you lose a game like that. But when you take Derrick Henry out, defense doesn't have to worry about a run game.
Mm-mm.
They just have to focus on Lamar and cover zone in the end zone. So Todd Monken, figure your shit out. You got the best running back in the league. It's clear that his presence on the field is what wins you games. So please, for the love of God, use him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that sounds like Philly for the last 2 years. Great run game, great offensive line. We don't seem to run the ball. It's different this year with Saquon. It seems like we're sticking to giving him the ball. He's been the second half closer for us.
Yep.
Hey, Baltimore, take note. We have a running back closing games for us. You
Yeah.
have the running back to close games.
Yeah.
Give the man the ball.
You have the hammer in the NFL. Use it.
Give him the ball. Right on. But yeah, so those are week 11's takeaways from both of us. We'll jump into our week. Wait, did you have another one?
Nope.
Okay, cool. We'll jump into our week 12 slate. The game just kicked off, so we will start with it. But our Thursday night game is a divisional game. We have Pittsburgh heading into Cleveland. The line has moved now that it's live, but the original line was, I believe, Pittsburgh 4.5, and now it's Pittsburgh 5.5, minus 5.5. The over-under is 35.5, and if you want Browns money line, it's plus 180. This is one of Nick's nuggies. Pittsburgh has not scored over 22 points in Cleveland since 2016. He has taken Pittsburgh team total under 22.
Okay.
Any juice for you?
I took the under 37.
Okay.
Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? And obviously the Pittsburgh money line, and that was because mainly because of the weather report. They were forecasting some nasty wind. That great, was that be Lake Erie? Is that Lake Erie that Cleveland's up against? Kind of that lake effect. I don't know if I'd say snow, but just that nasty, bitter wind and stuff like that.
It is Erie. So,
hell yeah. Chalk that up to some Littleton Public Schools education. Yeah, and now the over-under just went down again to 33.5. So, yeah, that's all I got for that one is I had under on the points. I don't know if I take it at 35. I thought 37 was low.
Okay. So don't take any action on it.
Nah, it's live. Okay. I won't take nothing on it.
So the only thing that we have for the listeners is take Pittsburgh not to score more than 22 points. The next game to open up our Sunday slate is going to be Detroit heading into Indianapolis. They have a much more realistic spread this week, even though they did hit last week. Minus 7.5. The over-under is 50.5. And if you want Indianapolis money line, it's plus 320. I do not have a Nick's nuggie for that. Any juice for you, brother?
Yeah, I think I don't know what to think of the Colts with Anthony Richardson last week because they were playing the Jets, and even that was a struggle to win the game. Detroit is just on a different level. Yeah. I mean, if you want to have an AFC and NFC king, fine. Detroit's at the top of the list.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Detroit covering, and based on that, I'll probably go with over 50.5 as well. I don't know if they'll put another 50 burger on like they did last week against the Jags, but
they fucking might.
They very well might. But yeah, I'm sure they could probably still get 40 or something and give Indy some, a pity 13 points or whatever. So yeah, I'll take points and line spread.
Sweet. All right. So now we have Kansas City is heading in to play Nick's Carolina Panthers.
Oh, sorry, Nick.
We have a 10.5 point spread for the Kansas City Chiefs. The over-under is 43. And if you want Panthers money line, it's plus 470. Some of Nick's nuggies here. Canales, first-year head coach since 2019. Carolina is 2-3 straight up and against the spread coming off the bye, but 1-3 straight up against the spread as home dogs this year. Again, when the spread was greater than 9.5, the over this year is 8-2, and faves are 3-7 against the spread and 7-3 straight up, which means he wants the over. It was at 41 then. I'll circle back and see if he wants it at 43. But he wants the over for that one, and he's also taking Carolina plus 10.5. Any juice for you, brother?
Interesting. Man, I don't. Maybe prop bet for like a D-Hop touchdown or something like that. I mean, let's see. I think J.C. Horn would probably be covering him, but I don't know. The Chiefs coming off a loss, which I sent it in the group chat, and I'm sure the roomies probably heard it. Some of the Chiefs players were upset of the way the Bills were celebrating, saying it looked like they won the Super Bowl. Like,
Get over
look
yourself,
in the
man.
mirror, KC. The week before, freaking Patrick Mahomes was running around like his hair was on fire. So I feel like this is a trap one for the points. So I think I'll probably stay away from that. I'll take over on 43 though. I think I'll ride with that.
All right. To me, with this, it's so hard to read Kansas City right now. Like, I know they only have one loss on the year, but it's been ugly. So, we'll see. Next game, we have Tampa Bay heading into New York to play the Giants. Tampa Bay is 6-point favorites. The over-under is 41, and if you want Giants money line, it's plus 215. Nick does have a nuggie here. New York Giants under Dable are 2-0 straight up and against the spread, coming off of the bye. They're 6-10-1 straight up and 9-7-1 against the spread as home underdogs, which they are. Tampa, also coming off the bye, are 0-2 straight up and against the spread off the bye, and 5-3 straight up and 4-4 against the spread as away favorites under Todd Bowles. So he's taking Giants +6 and Giants money line. What do you got?
Damn it!
You got the same thing?
I was gonna go with the Giants money line because Tommy Cutlets is now at QB.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an improvement or not over Daniel Jones. That being said, Tampa's getting Mike Evans back.
Yep. Still hasn't practiced this week, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Mike Evans. He doesn't have to practice. The dude's done it for, was it 10 years now? Like 9 straight years of 1,000-yard seasons.
Yeah.
Man, I will at least take Giants on the spread. I'll take over 41. But I think I'll stay away from the money line for now.
Okay, and Tampa should score. That's
they should. Tampa will score, and Baker will also throw 2 or 3 interceptions.
Yeah, I mean that'd be a nice prop bet.
Yeah.
So next we have a divisional game. We have New England heading into Miami. Miami are 7.5-point favorites. The over/under is 46, and if you want Patriots money line, it is plus 310. For Nick's Nuggy, Miami is on a 4-game winning streak. During the streak, Miami has won by at least 9 points. So he wants Miami minus 7.5.
Perfect. I want the Patriots plus 7.5.
All right.
The Patriots have shown they're kind of Jekyll and Hyde this year, it seems like, but they have shown that if they want to and rise up to the occasion, they can be a real prick for other teams. The record doesn't show it, but I would imagine I'd have to look at their schedule. But off the top of my head, they either make it a very close 1-possession game, or they get blown out, and it gets blown out quick. So I think Drake May's figuring it out bit by bit. Miami's defense isn't anything to write home about. Tommy doesn't have to worry about playing in Miami. So yeah, I'm going to take that Patriot spread.
Cool. New England plus 7.5. Our next morning game, we have a rivalry game as well, a division rivalry game. We have Dallas heading into Washington to play the Commanders. The Commanders are 10.5-point favorites. The over/under is at 45.5, and if you want Cowgirls money line, it is plus 440. For Nick's Nuggy, refer back to the spreads greater than 9.5. What is he trying to tell me here? Okay, yeah. So he's taken Dallas plus 10. He's also taken Dallas total team points under 10 and Washington to win by 7-12 and the over. And the reason he's taken Dallas to score 10 points or under 10 points is they have alternated every year 38 points, 6 points, 27 points, 3 points, and 31 points most recently in Washington. So they're due for a under 10 performance.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I I want to take the Manders spread, but for a divisional game, and the Cowboys are, I mean, I don't want to say it, but they are talented. They just, for whatever reason, have been trashed this year. And obviously losing Dak doesn't help. And not having a run game obviously isn't helping.
Offensive
Washington,
line.
Washington's kind of interesting too because they have games where it looks like they're world beaters, and then they have Hail Mary games against the Bears.
Yeah.
Like who are you? I think I'll take over on the points, 45.5. But that spread's a little big for me. I would lean towards the Manders covering it. Screw it. Why not? Manders covers.
Minus 10
Even
and
though
a half.
that means I'm riding with the resident Chicago White Sox better. Although he would point out that in his actual personal betting, he is in fuego.
I need receipts.
Well, he like every day, every morning, he sends it to me, and he also sends me the 4-leg parlays where he misses one leg. But nonetheless, he is hot outside the pod, but for whatever reason, cannot pick a pick on the pod to save his life.
That's hilarious. So to circle back, you took the over, Nick's taking the over, and that's because I bottled this up the first time. But when the spread was greater than 9.5, over is 8-2 this year, and faves are 3-7 against the spread and 7-3 straight up, which is why he's taking the over and going Dallas plus 10.
Okay.
So the next game, we have another divisional rivalry game. We have Tennessee heading into Houston. Houston are 8-point favorites. The over-under is 40.5. And if you want Tennessee money line, it's plus 295. Nick Nuggies here. Houston with rest disadvantage is 3-8 straight up and 2-9 against the spread since 2-9 against the spread since 2019. Tennessee with a rest advantage is 9-11 straight up, 10-9-1 against the spread. Last year, Houston broke 4-game Tennessee win streak. He's got Tennessee plus 8.
Tennessee's got a good defense. I'll give them that. Their offense is it looks like a car that runs on gas, but it has diesel in it.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of lurches forward, stops, looks dead, and then all of a sudden it lurches forward again. Might even get a scoring drive out of it. I'm going to take Houston to cover the spread at -8.
Okay.
I'm also going to take over on the points because I think Houston will still be able to score. Joe Mixon is on another planet right now.
He is. Revitalized.
Three touchdowns last week. I'm happy for my fantasy team, but at some point you got to think there's got to be a little bit regression to the mean form, right? But was it Bobby Slovic or Ben Slovic? I think it's Bobby Slovic.
Bobby Slovic, yeah.
The
OC, right?
Yeah, the OC for Houston comes from the Shanahan tree.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say you can see the Shanahan stuff, obviously, but he's got the Nico Collins and Mixon. I mean, a very good running back and a very good wide receiver. You put that in the Shanahan system, you're probably going to have very good results, and it's showing. So I'd probably be looking at him to probably land a head coaching job in the offseason, but they got the band back together. I think they'll be able to do it this week against Tennessee.
Nice. It would be cool to see him get a job. You said he's in I was listening to this earlier. I think it was on the Pat McAfee show, and it might have been J.J. Watt talking, so I don't know how factual this is. But there's lingering talks that the DC and OC in Detroit are willing to take pay cuts and stay and build a dynasty. I don't know how true that is, but it would be cool to see because, as a first-hand experience, a team that made it to the Super Bowl and lost, the following year we lost both our coordinators and it wasn't as good. And that's for a reason because you have a new offense, new system, people to learn shit. So,
I think every fan base, when you get a good OC or DC, you want them to stay as long as possible, just because it's like, hey, we could actually have something here and we could be really good. The continuity of having the same systems and the same players and all that good stuff. But for the assistants, it's probably also, pretty tempting to be the guy.
Yeah. I mean, Ben Johnson's going to kill it wherever he goes, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, and there's sometimes where there's some people who love being OCs or DCs because they're actually in with the guys and teaching and doing all that stuff. Head coach, you ain't doing that.
Yeah.
So
you got to run the whole show.
Yeah. Interesting. I agree. I hope it happens for him, but I don't know. I think probably one of them's going. It's probably Ben.
Yeah. All right. He should. He's that offense is maybe just put up 52 points last week. But so our next game, last game of the morning, is another division rivalry. We have Minnesota heading into Chicago. The Vikings are road favorites at 3.5. The over/under is 39.5. And if you want Bears money line, it's plus 145. Some nuggies here. Minnesota's on a 4-game win streak. 4 or 5 have been under 40. And Chicago has not scored over 16 points in the last 5. So I'm assuming that Minnesota on a 4-game win streak is talking about against Chicago. 4 out of the last 5 have been under 40. So he's taking under the 39.5. And he's also taking Chicago's team total to be under 16.5, considering they have not scored over 16 in their last 5. Nevada, what do you got?
Yeah. I think the over-unders might be a little bit low. I'll at least take the over on it. Again, the quasi-emergence of Caleb Williams last week was something to take note of. Again, Shane Waldron being out as OC. Again, Caleb Williams looked a little bit more free. I think that continues. Granted, he has to go up against a Brian Flores defense, and that's no fun for anybody, let alone a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
So I think Minnesota will probably still win this. 3.5's kind of like a perfect spread right there. I think I'll probably just stick with the points on this one, but
Okay.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears make it a contest or win it just because it's a divisional game, but give me another week of seeing Caleb start to flourish a little bit more under the new OC, and then I'll
trusting him a bit more.
Yeah, I'll start trusting the Bears.
So we talked about it right now, but I think it'd be hella interesting if Ben Johnson ended up in Chicago if they do fire Eberflus. I don't know if he would go to a division rival. I mean, that would be a really bad look, but hey, it's the Bears. It's the original 6 franchise. Like,
yeah, I would say my guess would be for head coaching candidates, Ben Johnson's probably 1 across the league.
Yeah. I think everybody's going to come calling at the minute he decides to step out. Yeah.
I would think Slovic's probably up there on the short list as well.
Yep. He's been in Houston 2 years now, though, right?
Yeah, this is his 2nd year.
Okay.
And obviously, we saw how the offense was last year.
Yeah.
Helps.
A little bit of a slip this year, but injuries and shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, yeah, when you show up, that's why it's just like when you go on your first date, right? You don't go to the fancy steakhouse where it's going to be $80 a plate.
Yeah. Because
you're setting that bar impossibly high.
Yeah. Every day.
But you also don't want to head up to Applebee's or something like that, unless that's that's her flavor or something. You want to be right happy medium. Nothing too crazy, nothing too cheap. Slovak bought the prime rib at the steakhouse, and now everybody's like, well, I mean, it's still good, but it's not that as good as last year. Like, well, okay, yeah, the bar was insanely high last year.
Yeah, I actually didn't think of it like that, and they're still doing good in relative terms compared to everybody else. But when you compare it to last year, that makes sense. All right, let's push this along. Where do we leave off? Denver. We have our first afternoon game, rivalry game. Denver's heading into Las Vegas. Denver are 6-point road favorites. Over unders 41, and Raiders money line is plus 220. Some nuggies here from Nick. Denver has never won in Las Vegas. I mean, it's been like 2 years.
Yeah, it's like 3 years.
And has not lost by less than 4 points. So they've never won, but they've never lost by less than 4 points. 4 of the last 5 have been over 41 points total, and Las Vegas has allowed a touchdown to a tight end each of the last 3 weeks. He's rocking with Las Vegas +6, Las Vegas money line, the over at 41, and he wants an anytime touchdown for Adam Troutman. Nevada, what do you got, brother?
I will politely tell Nick to piss off. I'm going over on the points.
All right.
As my tagline says, and as Jason from Revenge of the Pod would agree, it's time to Bo leave in the Denver Bo Broncos, because Bo is
the truth.
I mean, him and Jaden Daniels, 1 and 2 for Rookie of the Year, at least offensive Rookie of the Year. A defensive one doesn't come to mind, so they could both be Rookies of the Year.
Whoa, there's a defensive. There's two, Jared Verse and Quinyon Mitchell.
All right, yeah, I give you Quinyon. I haven't seen Verse's stats.
Verse has been playing phenomenal for the Rams, dude.
So, real quick, back to last week. I had a +700 Atlanta doesn't record a sack.
Yeah.
There was 1 sack.
Yep.
Against Bo Nix. Do you know what the play was?
I don't, but I saw the stats. What was it?
He was, I can't remember if it was a handoff or just dropping back, tripped over his lineman.
And somebody fell on top of him, got credit for a sack?
He didn't fall on top of him. He just, the defensive end just saw him down there, so he just kind of like sprinted over to touch him. That was their 1 sack.
I saw that, dude. I was because I go every week. I go through all the bets from the previous week, and I was like, "There's no fucking way Atlanta didn't get a sack." And then I'm scrolling through each player, no sack, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" And then like the 4th player from the bottom, I was like, "No way, he got a sack, dude."
Yeah.
And then you told me that, and I'm like, "Come on, man."
Yeah. It wasn't even a true sack. It was he tripped over his lineman and couldn't get up in time.
That's so
but I digress. The Broncos, whether they're being more confident, you could say they're lucky. They obviously own the NFC South, sweeping the NFC South. But the Broncos in 4 of their 5 wins have been by at least double digits. They beat the Bucs 26-7. They beat the Jets in a nasty game 10-9, week 4. They beat the Raiders at home 34-18. A lot of people point to the PS2 pick 6 at the goal line as the turnaround for the season, kind of galvanized the team. They smacked the Saints 33-10, the Panthers 28-14, and then last week destroyed the Falcons 38-6 in Bo Nix's best game by far. So I'm not only am I going to take Broncos to cover the spread, I'm going to buy it up to probably 9.5.
Okay.
Give me some plus money on that. Because when they beat the teams that they should, they're again, all those games with the exception of the Jets game in week 4 have been by at least double digits. So let's see what we got here. We go
plus 140.
Plus 140.
Yeah.
Book it.
All right, I got you, brother. I like it. And dude, it's good to see the success for Bo and this turnaround, because I don't know. I like the guy, man. He was all old as shit up in Oregon. Everyone was giving him shit, and now he's down here doing wonderful things for Denver. So good for that young man. Let's push it along here. We just finished Denver. All right, so we have San Francisco heading into Green Bay. Green Bay are 3-point home favorites. The over-under is 46.5. And if you want San Francisco money line, it's plus 136. I do not believe Nick gave me any nuggies for this game. He did not. So, Nevada, what do you got on this?
I think last year, 2 years ago, this probably would have been like a primetime game.
Mm-hmm.
But the 49ers are struggling. They're kind of stuck in neutral. Obviously, CMC's back. This will be his 3rd week back. Correct? Yeah, 3rd week, correct? I think it's 3rd.
This will be his 3rd week, yes.
Yeah,
Last week was his 2nd week, yeah.
I think we've seen he's kind of slowly getting there. I'm sure it's a rhythm thing. Jordan Love, he's had some moments. I think those injuries have definitely been piling up for him. He's not quite the same.
Yeah. He's getting banged up bad.
He's consistent throwing picks, though. Thank you very much, fantasy. But I will say I don't have much on this game. I'll go San Francisco +3 and over on the points. I will also note, if you have the opportunity, live bet San Francisco's opponent. And the reason for that is San Francisco has lost 3 games while leading with 2 minutes left in the game.
Interesting.
So if you see, Green Bay down by, 4 points or something with 5 minutes to go, hit that live bet before the bets get locked up, because so far this year they've blown 3 games with 2 minutes or less to go in the game.
That's not a championship caliber quality.
That's not a good thing to have. Nope.
I love to see it. All right. So we are moving into our last afternoon game, which is another divisional game. A lot of divisional games this week. We have Arizona heading into Seattle. Seattle are 1-point favorites. Might as well just make that shit even. The over-under is 47.5, and if you want money line for either, the Cardinals are -108, the Seahawks are -112. For the Nuggies over here, let's see here. Gannon, second-year head coach for the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona lost and didn't cover as 12-point dogs last year. As road dogs under Gannon, they're 4-9 straight up and 7-6 against the spread. Between Arizona and Seattle, 4 of the last 5 matchups in Seattle have gone under 48, including the last 3, in which the largest total was 36. So he's rocking with under 47.5 for this game. And he's going to prop bet it up. He's going to go under 36 at +351 on DraftKings. So he moved that line down significantly to 36. What do you got?
Yeah, I got under on the points as well. Seattle is tied or like 1 game behind for the division lead, so I think this will be a big game for them. We've seen it this year. Mike McDonald's the head coach for Seattle. It's not a consistent, nasty defense, but it definitely shows up game to game. I don't think there's a bigger reason than here for a divisional game at home. They want to show up. So, yeah, I'll take under on the points. To me, the money line, it's a coin flip. I think either team could win this. I'd probably lean Seattle just because they're at home. Obviously, Vegas doesn't think that because they don't have that home bump on the spread. But, I'll stick with under on the points. I think Marvin Harrison might have a little bit of an issue going against Witherspoon this week.
Yeah, stud corner over there. All right, so we're closing out our Sunday slate with Sunday Night Football. Philadelphia's heading down to Los Angeles to play the Rams. The Eagles are 2.5-point road favorites. The over-under is 49. And if you want LA Rams money line, it's +130. Nick did give us a nugget here. East Coast teams traveling west in prime time are 1-2 straight up and 1-2 against the spread this year. He is taking Rams +2.5 and Rams money line. No matter what do you got, brother?
This is your team. I'll let you start this off.
I don't want to be overly confident. I've seen a lot of improvement. Depending on what source you have, the Eagles are either a top 3 defense or the number 1 defense in football. It just depends on where you're getting your information. I don't know how they do this.
Sure. Yeah.
But with that being said, our secondary is phenomenal, and that's the one thing that I think the LA has as an advantage against teams. So I'm taking Philadelphia -2.5 as road favorites. I don't really care about the traveling thing. Players are used to that bullshit nowadays. I will go over. We have a good defense, but the environment, Sunday Night Football, Matthews magic, like he's going to do something that's going to put some points on the board for the Rams. I think it'll be like a 27-21 victory, which wouldn't put you at the over, but I'm still going to rock with the over at 49 just because I don't think Philly has scored under outside of that Washington game, we haven't scored under 30 points in a minute. So I'm going to rock with the over, and I'm going to take Philly minus 2.5.
No, I like that. Like you said, my point that you covered was the Philly secondary is one of their stronger points on the defense, and that's the strong point for the Rams. We'll see what Kyren Williams can do. He's had a quiet year, but he's been very, very successful and productive. On the flip side, I don't know if the Rams defense can keep up with the Eagles between Barkley, Slim, and then A.J. Brown.
And you still got to account for Jalen Hurts at some point.
Yeah.
You got to put a spy on him somewhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty much rocking the same line that you got, Philly spread and over on the points.
Sweet.
I think it should be a fun game, though.
I think so. We went to the game last year in LA. Beautiful stadium. But I do think it's going to be a great game. Just because I'm never gonna count out McVay and Stafford. As long as those two guys are running the show, they have a fighter's chance.
Yep.
And then we will close out our Week 12 slate with the Harbaugh Bowl. Baltimore is heading west to play the Chargers. Baltimore are 2.5-point favorites. Kind of a mind-blowing mind-blowing number, but the Baltimore Ravens are minus 2.5 favorites. The over/under is 51, and if you want Chargers money line, it's only plus 120. Little bit of a Nick Snuggie here. Back to the East Coast thing. He's taking Pittsburgh. No, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong team. He's taking Los Angeles Chargers plus 2.5, and he's taking Los Angeles Chargers money line.
God, again. All right. Well, for that, I'll counter that by saying the last time that the Ravens lost a heartbreaker divisional game, the following week they also played an AFC West team, the Denver Broncos, and they throttled them 41-10.
Okay.
Defenses are pretty similar for Chargers and Broncos, both top 5 or at the very least top 10 defenses. Again, like Eric said, depending on where you get your source and how you measure it. We've seen the Chargers offense kind of show up at times, and more often than not doesn't.
Yeah.
As Jermaine said in the group chat, Herbert is the fraud that he is. So I think Baltimore again comes out pissed off. Again, losing a divisional game the week prior.
Especially how they lost it too.
Yep. Same thing with the Cleveland game. That was an ugly loss in the final 90 seconds or whatever it was. So yeah, I'm going to take Baltimore to cover the spread over on the points. It's pretty high considering the Chargers defense is good, but again, I think Baltimore comes out pissed off and angry, and hopefully Todd Monken heard my breakdown from the previous week. Give King Henry the ball.
Yeah.
At least 20 times. That's your formula to win. Unreal.
Dude, sorry to change the subject, but I just got this update from Bleacher Report, circling back to our NBA quarter preview. Embiid wants to find the snitch. 76ers star furious after locker room meeting was leaked. Bro, that's what you're worried about? Trade the man, dude. I'm at the point where trade him. Trade him for any haul you can get. Get picks, get players. Get rid of this dude. He is a problem.
Trade him to your Dallas team?
No, because then I don't have to root for him again. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I'm done
that's
with
right.
the kid.
That's true.
Like,
that's true.
I've soured on him, and it's look, when he's on the court, great. But everything else is just wrong with him.
Maybe you could do a 1-for-1 with Zion or something.
No, I'm good on that too. Honestly, I don't know if maybe if Jermaine was here, he would have jumped on me. But I said earlier that I would rather have Rudy Gobert on my team at this point. Whoa. And I've been gangbanging on that dude since he got into the league. I can't stand the Frenchman.
I was going to say I've seen Gobert play enough times, playing the Nugs and stuff like that. Defensively, okay, sure, yeah. I mean, he's a defensive player of the year for a reason.
Yeah.
Offensively, he's a defensive player of the year for a reason.
Yeah.
The dude ain't got offense, but whatever.
I mean, it's just I don't want to. I just hate to end on a bad note like this, but that update is like anyway.
We'll end on a good note because again, mom and dad are out. We don't know where they're at.
Yeah.
We kept the room clean for the most part, tidy for the most part. We'll clean up the beer bottles, and anything else that we got laying around. But yeah, I enjoyed this. Hopefully the roomies enjoyed it. Go ahead and start a petition on change.org if you want me and Eric to be the hosts and Jermaine and Nick to be the EPs.
Oh man, that'd be great. I'm gonna go start that and see if we can get some traction on that. But you got anything else for the listeners?
No, I appreciate it.
Well, as you know, as Jermaine would say, follow us on the socials and where you get your podcast at Podcast Room 303. Follow our sister podcast, Revenge of the Pod, on all socials and where you get all your podcasts. Thank you guys for taking some time to listen with us, and hopefully, mom and dad will be back next week. We'll see. But have a great week, guys.
Bye-bye.